It's like every time you get on the internet, you just can't avoid it. The discussion around video games and really media in general is plagued with politics and ideology. You can't sit down and take a dump without hearing something about publishers pushing some woke agenda. Rockstar's woke, BioWare's woke, Obsidian, Sony, Microsoft, it's always something. Maybe it's some unhinged studio head that drank the Kool-Aid taking to Twitter, or some washed up loser like David Jaffe shilling for games like Dragon Age and trying to convince you that Asmongold's the king of the grifters. Without even saying his name, like what a fucking coward. It's always this nonstop drama back and forth, and the crazy part is you're not even actively looking for this stuff. You probably just want to see the latest news on Path of Exile 2. Maybe you just want to see the patches for Stalker 2. I mean, that's why I watch Juicehead. Or if you're like me, you're probably too tired after work to channel surf through your backlog or Game Pass, so you just throw on an hours-long retrospective video to help you fall asleep. And look, this isn't about whether or not you lean left or right. You think that really matters? The pendulum swings both ways. And the people working behind the scenes, they don't care about your political stance. The end goal is still the same either way. There's woke people on the left, and there's woke people on the right. I know, it's a shocking revelation, right? Remember the debate with the Act Man and Andy Pants that went so horrible that Andy had to delete the video, and he tried to copyright strike the Act Man to get it taken down from his channel? It might come as a surprise, but Andy Pants is more woked out of his mind than the person he was trying to cry woke on. This guy holds Bible studies on Discord and complains on the internet about how everything is gay now. Let me see, religious-like cult, check. Using that position from a radicalized standpoint to promote anarchy, check. Trying to use someone's past against them instead of shit that's actually relevant, check. Attacking everybody who disagrees with your ideology and going on blocking sprees when people call you out. Check. Huh. You know what? I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty fucking woke to me. You know what players really care about though? And I'll give you a hint, that woke bullshit, it is pretty far down the list of problems. People care about games being good. Wow. You think people are rejecting games that have pronouns in them because they secretly hate trans people? Maybe some people like Andy Pants, but for the majority, we just see a pattern of these games being garbage. Video games are supposed to be about entertainment. They're supposed to be about escapism. Whatever happened to making a game for people to enjoy? And I checked out Avowed on Steam, by the way, and the most popular tags for this game are LGBTQ+, politics, and psychological horror. It's kind of unironic too, because those tags probably accurately reflect what this game is going to be about. Why is it that if I enjoy a game that only focuses on the artistic side of the medium and not trying to take some political stance, I'm automatically labeled as toxic? Why can't I just have fun? Why do I have to pick some side? Why the hell has everything in the gaming space become so radicalized? And I think people are waking up too. They know that all that positivity shit, it's all fake. It's a facade. It's a disguise hiding something playing out in the background. It's like some dark specter behind the scenes wants to destroy the gaming industry. And you see these studios doing this shit out of spite. It's because they hate the fact that we get entertainment and a feeling of escapism from video games. We can't ignore the issues of inequality. We can't relax after a hard day's work and sit down to play a game unless their ideology is in the forefront of our minds. Go ahead, tell me I'm crazy, say that I'm overthinking a problem that doesn't even exist. Tell me that all art is political. Sure, some art is political, but you're not going to sit here with a straight face and tell me that everything about art is politically motivated. It's so insane. You have no choice but to believe there's an agenda because nobody who is reasonable looks at this stuff and wants to engage with it. I'm sure you don't have a problem with female characters, gay characters, cultural backgrounds, or anything like that. Can we agree on that? This has been in games forever. I never gave a shit that Samus Aran was a female protagonist. I didn't give a shit that Sylvando in Dragon Quest XI was this super turbo gay party member. I never cared because the characters like this, they were well written, instead of being used purely for marketing tools. The only thing that I cared about was the fact that I was playing a good game. That's all anybody wants. Good games. Games without an agenda attached to them. And this sanding of the edges, these games without grit, purely made to push this agenda, are proving time after time to fail. Concord, Dustborn, Veilguard, Kill the Justice League. Either nobody asked for them, or they're just pissed off because the franchise they grew so attached to became a shadow of its former self. And because people are passionate about their favorite franchises, they say, hey, I don't like this. Guess what? They can't unless they want to be canceled, and it all boils down to race for some reason. It's like all the time. This stuff is forced into our games whether or not it even fits the narrative. Because nothing says dark fantasy more than real-world shit on social media like gendered pronouns in a fucking game about dragons and magic. When you put female characters into protagonist roles and give them masculine features, like, what does that even do? Who is that for? No one's asking for females in medieval settings to be dressed in bikinis. I mean, I'm all for wearing functional armor on the battlefield. It makes sense. But what function does broad shoulders and a squared jawline have for a female? Oh, I know, it's the unrealistic beauty standard set for women. Let me ask you this. What man is looking at another guy with a six-pack and thinking to themselves, that's unfair beauty standards? What the fuck? They're probably thinking they need to hit the gym or something. It doesn't just ruin the games either. It impacts everything around it. And like I said, the gamers aren't the ones who are politically motivated, and this has nothing to do with some weirdo wanting to get off to pixels on a screen. Women want attractive female characters too. I don't even think trans people want this shit. They probably want to play as the gender that matches their dysphoria. And when I say trans people, I don't mean the purple-haired freak activists that don't understand the basic human biology. Those people, they're cancer to society. The vast majority of people don't actually care about how other people live their lives. Respect is earned. It can't be demanded or forced. This is one of the biggest reasons why people reject wokeism, and these ideologically possessed freaks leading the charge against Gamergate, well, they actually hurt the people they're trying to represent. They don't just add these elements in our games to be inclusive, they strip your franchises of everything you loved about them to focus on sensitivity and political correctiveness. Things can't be considered offensive, it has to be completely stripped out. Can't have blood, can't be an asshole character in a role-playing game, can't be a man or a woman. Games like Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, they're fucking adored, and they're seen as anomalies. You know, making good games, oh, well, that's an unrealistic standard set on studios, so they can't be good games either. Gotta have some unhinged internal activist at one of these studios tell you what you can and can't be offended by. Tell you what words you're allowed to use, what you're allowed to think. They give these people control over what you're even allowed to see in your games. Doesn't matter if they're rated M, everything has to be passed through this positivity filter of censorship and smothered in Fortnite graphics. It has to be a dumbed-down retard simulator because casual gamers don't know the basic concepts of simple shapes and colors. And if that's not bad enough, you gotta have some NPC solve the puzzle for you. The puzzle that you already know the answer to. No creativity, no quality, no beauty, no talent, because these things are offensive to people that are talent impaired. They want to destroy the very concept of exceptionalism in the workplace because someone more talented than you has an unfair advantage. So many restrictions, so many barriers to a piece of media that it has to be filtered through that shit, and the end product is this heaping pile of uninspired nothingness. No risk, no reward, no passion, no love for the project you're working on, all being dumped off the assembly line and sold back to people for $70. Buy it now so we could fix it later. No excitement, no thrill, no stakes, just corporate slop. Politically correct characters and passionate writing being replaced with messaging. You don't have to believe me either. You could just look it up for yourself. Look at the biggest shareholders of these companies. What are you going to see? You're going to see BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. Just look up ESG. Look up DEI, D&I, and Bridge, which stands for belonging, representation, inclusion, diversity, gap, and equity. All woke means right now is the injection of progressive politics, none of which is organic. These DEI grifters would just as easily swing in the opposite direction. The whole identity politics thing, it just happens to be the current flavor. The cast of every game reflecting the demographic of the world's smallest minority groups, is it normal? Is it warranted? Oh, all the race swaps? That just happened by complete accident, you bigot. The forced inclusion? Complete coincidence. Making Angerboda black and having Thor be this fat loser, having you side with communists in Far Cry 6, making 2B and Rainbow Six Siege objectively masculine, Harley Quinn, the females in MK1, the rise of girl boss characters, complete coincidence. And you know what? You're a bigot for pointing that out. You're just a gooner chud for wanting characters in a video game to look attractive. The failure of Concord, was it about the gameplay? Or was it because Overwatch had characters that were so appealing that most people don't even know they're from a video game? But you don't want that, though. You want a character that looks like a 500-pound Doomslayer. Making Ellie gay, was that a creative decision because it was statistically bound to happen simply because gay people exist? What about Aloy looking like Nikocado? Was that because of artistic expression? And then the game journalists give these games glowing reviews, regardless of how trash they are, calling Dragon Age the Veilguard a return to form and a Game of the Year contender, when a real Game of the Year contender, Black Myth Wukong, is considered racist and sexist against women. Like, what the fuck does any of this have to do with gameplay? I thought this was your job, to find me something fun to play. And people call this shit Gamergate 2.0, as if it ever went away. But this just doesn't make sense. Why would these publishers go out and sabotage their own reputations with their core audience? It just doesn't make sense, right? Why does it seem like they don't want you to buy their games, like they're okay just throwing their money away? Well, you think the largest asset holders in the world, you think they need your money? You think this is a free market? They are the market. And the market always goes up. When you have all the money in the world, what's the only thing you can really compete for? It's power. They're politically motivated to demoralize us. It's all about subverting and replacing the things we enjoy. They want to increase division. They want to destroy Western culture. They want to do away with nationalism and traditional values. The revolution, the New World Order, diversity hires are meant to be terrible. It's like the whole point. It's about tearing down exceptionalism. The end goal is communism. What else could it really be? It's not just in video games, it's in film, it's in movies, it's in car companies, it's in sports, it's in the food you eat and the clothes you wear. It doesn't matter if you boycott games either, like the Veilguard and Avowed, by voting with your wallets. You think this will just go away overnight because you got Trump and Elon Musk on your side? The world's largest asset holders have their hands on the money printers. You shop at Walmart, Target, right? Like, where do you buy your food? Because chances are you already bought those games whether you like it or not. They'll take your money anyways and use it to fund these projects. The end goal and the reason why games keep getting worse, it's clear. Think about it. You will own nothing and be happy? Meanwhile, everybody's happy. And they're unaware seeing Xbox and Sony acquire all these studios because my box is better than your box. You think Sony getting a hold of From Software is a win for PlayStation fans? Like we're gonna get Bloodborne 2? Like games are just magically gonna be better now? Here's the issue. You see Ford, they improve their cars each year to compete with GM. And Samsung, they improve their TVs to compete with LG. In a communist society, the government's car factories produce all the cars, and there's no need to get better because they don't need to. The same goes for food. The government doesn't need to improve the food supply chain because they aren't competing with anyone. It doesn't matter if Jack's farm produces more food than Joe's farm because they get paid the same amount of rations from the government either way. You might be happy now with your Game Pass subscription and how accessible and more affordable gaming is, but when companies like BlackRock send diversity consultants over to Microsoft to threaten their social credit scores to force behaviors like woke training programs for all their studios, they'll comply. If not, they'll lose funding. They could even be forced to step down. If the head of your favorite studio doesn't drink the Kool-Aid, it doesn't matter. They'll get tossed out the door and replaced with a DEI hire. You ever wonder why you see continuous loops of woke games flopping and it always results in being the gamer's fault because they're just chud incel bigots and every other buzzword? It's all by design. You can't be against it either because you'd be a bad person. You can't simply enjoy games like Space Marine 2. That game's for fascists. It's anti-progressive. You're some kind of activist because you choose to play some fucking game. Guess what? I didn't even vote. I don't even care about politics. I don't care about having these conversations. I just want to talk about video games on this channel because I just enjoy them. But in order to talk about this, I have no other option but to come off as some radical activist. I have to sound crazy, and I know I do because I myself, without doing any research, looked at these anti-woke grifters as being crazy whenever I'd hear them talk about shit like the modern audience. Sure, there's people like Andy Pants who are actually radicalized incels yelling on the internet about every game being gay. And people like that, they have lost the plot. But people like Endymion, Smash JT, Grums, Dr. Disaster, Asmongold, they're actually calling this stuff out for what it truly is. Diversity isn't forced. It happens naturally. So in case you are wondering why games are they keep going woke and it feels like they're doubling down, it just makes no sense why these companies would sabotage their own reputations. Well, this is the reason. It's because the people at the very top want to consolidate everything into one huge Big Brother style regime, and they're using things like diversity and inclusion to subvert our attention while they build it in the shadows. If they can destroy art, if they can destroy family values, they can effectively destroy our will to fight against them. The most dangerous weapon in the world. Think about it. It's not firearms. It's not nuclear warheads. It's the human mind. And if you can think for yourself, well, that's a problem. That's why they need to force behaviors. You're gonna have to vote with your wallets for a very long time. Don't just expect this problem to go away in 1, 2, or even 3 years. It could even crop up 10 years from now and rebrand itself, talking the same damn nonsense. What it looks like in the foreseeable future is them actually doubling down. This shit is going to get worse. They're gonna get even more unhinged. Why do you think people like Matt Hansen, who promotes illegal hiring practices, why does it seem like they're protected from being fired? I don't want to talk about this. But at the same time, I'm not about to be a coward and not address it when I know I have something to say. Same goes for you. Don't be afraid to speak out about this. They can call you names all they want. They can try to cancel you all they want. Hell, YouTube is probably gonna hide this video from recommended or something. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry if this video came off as negative. Like I said, I don't like talking about this shit. Give me your thoughts down in the comments. And remember, don't let anyone, not even me, tell you what to think. Do your own research. Form your own opinions. All right, bye.